Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever, strengthening the ties that keep us together.
Why is acknowledging a difference of opinion at work a superpower? Yes, you heard right, a superpower. Welcome to Making It Last podcast. I'm your host, Noreen Daly, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. And I'm going to be doing that with Lynn Whitbeck from Petite to Queen and Future Forward Sales. You don't know what that is? Well, I was about to tell you to Google it, but you still need to Google it. But Lynn, welcome.
Noreen, it's such a pleasure to be back.
Okay, thank you. So just a little bit, because we can't assume that somebody would have heard the explanation from a previous episode. So just tell us quickly again, what is Petite to Queen and Future Forward Sales?
Well, in a nutshell, we help the world by providing sales and leadership training to achieve more faster. I am passionate that everyone needs sales training because it is leadership training. And, it makes everything, the psychology of it, it's amazing how it's going to open up your world, both personally and of course, professionally.
Okay. All right. So with that now as a base, why is acknowledging a difference of opinion at work a superpower? And why classify it as a superpower?
Well, it absolutely is a superpower because here's the thing. All of us have blinders on. We live in our own world or our paradigm. And if we can't accept in this alternate perspective and an alternate input, we actually aren't seeing the whole picture. And we could miss something that's actually vitally important on our project, on an initiative, and could just crash and burn. So one of the things is that it takes a village to do a project at work. A lot of different departments and different team members participating, and there are going to be team members who look at problems a different way, or a challenge, or a path to get there. And you need to be bringing all of that diversity of thought into the equation. And so when you have a difference of opinion, it is so vital to understand that the other person is not wrong. Okay? It doesn't mean they're wrong. It means that they are coming at this from a different perspective. And you need to understand what that is. So you can, tell me more, help me understand. Because there are times where you can say, okay, well, that's sort of left field and it's not part of the parameters of this project. But there are other times at work where you're going like, wow, I hadn't thought about that. But if we put this type of complicated hierarchy of a decision tree in the programming, the system is more likely going to crash. But this is what the client wants. And this is how that needs to work for them. And this is your world in IT. How do we make that work? So where do we find the common ground? Where do we find that solution? And I recognize what you're saying, and it's valid. And we don't want the system to crash. We don't want a bad customer experience. So, so this is just one example, right? So then how do we bring that back together? So that's what's so important, is recognizing that. The other thing is, with this difference of opinion, it can be that somebody has a very different style. Once again, if they're working in a different role or even a different department, their why of what they need to accomplish is quite different than yours. So their perspective, the way they're coming at this, they are really looking at different key performance indicators and a goal and things that they need to achieve. Right? And so you need to take that into account. So once again, when everyone wins, not only, the company it does so much better, but you feel so much better. When we work in an environment filled with conflict, the amount of stress that it puts on us, and that impacts our health, it impacts our personal life. It's just no good. So you need to have this open and transparent and a genuine desire and curiosity to understand, where this, how people are seeing, like I said, a problem, an initiative, a project differently.
I know you've been enjoying the conversation, but we're going to take a little break and get a word from our sponsor.
For all your events, such as educational forums, workshops, book launches, weddings, and more, contact Noreen Daly, the ultimate MC and event host. Visit NoreenDaly.com or follow her on Instagram at Noreen Daly Jam. Noreen Daly, creating long-lasting memories.
Earlier you said something and it popped up in my mind. The whole idea of having people being open to other persons around you who will have differences of opinion. But a lot of persons, Lynn, will continue to see it as a right or wrong situation in their mind. So I am right, you're wrong, and vice versa. How can we then change that mindset in the workplace?
Well, here's the thing. We all have choices. We make choices every single day. And we have a choice. And you can make a choice right now today to say, I am going to actively pursue understanding this difference of opinion. I want them to tell me more. I want them to help me understand, because it's going to enlarge my perspective and I will be able to step into a leadership role. Good, strong leaders, they actively pursue getting this input from a diverse set of team members, of departments, of peers, of industry, because it's going to make their decision making better. It's going to make it stronger and more successful. Companies that operate in these types of environments and cultures that they create, they do thrive. They are so successful. And so when you take on that mantle as an individual, and you want to do that, people are going to see you as a leader, somebody that they can talk to. Like, I noticed this within, the project that we're working on. I think it could be a problem down the road. And it's like, oh, wow, thank you for telling me. Let's talk about this. How do you see this scenario playing out? And then getting that information. When you open the door, it's sort of like an open door policy. People are going to walk in, and you are going to gain so much from that. And then the work that you're doing is going to be so much better.
It's interesting you should say that, because in my other life, I actually have an open door policy. My door is the only time it's closed if I'm really working on something I really don't want any distractions, or maybe if I just want a quiet moment, and that's very rare. So yeah, so I understand what you mean with that whole open door policy. But with what you said just now in response to what I asked you, somebody could be listening there saying, but I don't want to be a leader. I'm fine at the level that I am. So why should I really care about all of what you're saying? What's your response to that?
Oh, well, I would say, do you want to have a better experience at work? Because that flows right into your whole being and your personal life when you have a better environment. And that better environment means that you, on your part, need to give a little, all right? You need to give that respect and that dignity and recognizing the other person as a human being, and that they have value and they can help you. If nothing else, they're going to help you so that your day goes smoothly. Okay. And everybody can play nice in the sandbox.
Yeah, I know. All right. So as we're wrapping up, we've talked about why it is that acknowledging it is a superpower, but how does one actually do that, which is acknowledge somebody, acknowledge a difference of opinion while at work?
Yeah, so, it just comes up naturally. And then you say something that you immediately think, no, we're not going to do it that way. And instead of take a moment to pause, gather your thought, and then ask them, well, that's interesting. Can you tell me more? And then, like, help me understand. Now, those are both phrases that the other person is not going to feel defensive. They're not going to go into like attack mode. So you want to, words have power, so you want to be very aware of that. But those are ways that you can ask someone to share. And then you're also recognizing, like, that's really interesting. I like what you said, but can you help me understand? When you ask them to help you see and understand and play it out, you're actually complimenting them that you value their opinion, that what they have to say is important. And that is, everyone wants that level of approval. True. And attaboys or attagirls. And, and that approach, that's the key thing, is it is an approach where you are seeing them as a valuable asset to the team, and their input is important. And even if it's somebody that you don't get along with, we have the oil and vinegar situations. Mm-hmm. That person who might be the vinegar to your oil, they still have, we all want some vinegar in as we put it in a dash of our recipes, right? Mm-hmm. It's important to take that in. And when you can show that for yourself, that you are receptive and that you're interested and you're curious, once again, that it really is such an incredible superpower that you can use throughout your career and your life.
Are there any final thoughts you want to share with us as we're wrapping up this conversation, Lynn?
Well, absolutely. I guess just, the one thing I want to remind everyone is that every day we are presented with choices. And sometimes you don't recognize the moment that you're in, but take that moment to stop talking, take a breath of air, take a pause, so that you might help you recognize that you are in a situation where you have a choice. And the choice is to, be curious and get more information from the other person, because it could actually make a big difference in the success of your project.
I know you've been enjoying the conversation, but we're going to take a little break and get a word from our sponsor.
Does your business lack branding? Having difficulty realizing your vision? Look no further. Splint Brand Design Consultancy specializes in developing personal and business brands. Services include strategic management, website creation, social media branding, and more. Visit them online at www.wearesplint.com. Splint, the brand you need to succeed.
Thanks so much for sharing again, Lynn, and I trust you will be sharing again quite soon.
I'd love to be back.
All right. This was Making It Last podcast with your host, Noreen Daly, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, but with other people. Until next time.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.